Jackson Reeves, who went by Jack because nobody in space could pronounce his middle name without sounding like they were choking, sat in the medical bay of Orbital Haven and wondered if this was how his day was going to go. He had been hauling cargo across 3 star systems for the last 6 months, eating whatever passed for food at truck stops that smelled universally of recycled air and regret. And now some 4-armed alien medic was staring at a holoscreen like it had just showed him a prophecy of the apocalypse. The medic's name was Curel. He was a Zenthari, which meant he looked like someone had taken a very polite grasshopper, given it 4 arms, and dressed it in medical scrubs. Right now, all 4 of those arms were shaking. "This cannot be right," Curel said, his voice climbing an octave with each word. "The scanner must be malfunctioning." "It has to be malfunctioning." Jack leaned back in his chair. "What's wrong, Doc?" Curel's large compound eyes swiveled to face him, which was unsettling because they did it independently, like a chameleon having an identity crisis. "What is wrong? What is wrong?" "Sir, according to these readings, you should have been dead approximately 17 days ago. Your bloodstream contains at least 47 different toxins, 3 of which are used in industrial degreasing, and your liver appears to be staging some sort of rebellion against basic chemistry." "Huh," Jack said. "That's weird. I feel fine." "You feel fine?" Curel repeated the words like he was trying to translate them from a language that had no word for sanity. "Sir, do you understand what I am telling you? Your body is a chemical disaster. There are poison markers in your system that would kill a Rigelian shock trooper. What did you eat this morning?" Jack thought about it. Coffee. Couple of those protein bars from the vending machine on deck 7. Had some hot sauce on them because they tasted like cardboard. Oh, and I finished off that jar of pickled peppers I picked up on Kepler Station last week." Curel just stared at him. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Jack asked. "I need to call security," Curel said, reaching for his communicator with 2 hands while the other 2 frantically typed notes. "And possibly a hazmat team. Sir, please do not move. Do not touch anything. Do not breathe on anything if you can help it. I mean, I kind of have to breathe." "Then breathe shallowly." This was going great. Jack had only stopped at Orbital Haven because he needed to refuel and pick up his next cargo manifest. The mandatory health screening was supposed to take 10 minutes. He had been sitting here for 30, and now the medic looked like he was one revelation away from a complete nervous breakdown. "Look, Doc, I appreciate the concern, but I'm telling you, I'm fine. Humans are just built different." "Built different," Curel echoed, still typing with a speed that suggested panic had given him superpowers. "Sir, with all due respect to your species, built different does not explain why your blood alcohol content suggests you consumed fermented neurotoxin within the last 72 hours. "Oh yeah, I had a beer on Tuesday." "You had a what?" "A beer. You know, alcoholic beverage? Fermented grains? People drink it?" Curel's typing stopped. All 4 arms froze mid-motion. "You voluntarily consumed fermented neurotoxin. I mean, I wouldn't call it neurotoxin. The chemical composition literally matches the definition of neurotoxin in 17 different medical databases. We call it beer, where I'm from." The doors to the medical bay hissed open, and a Kralik security officer strode in with the kind of purposeful walk that suggested she had dealt with too much nonsense today, and was not in the mood for more. Commander Vosh was 7 feet tall, covered in overlapping plates that looked like someone had made armor out of gunmetal, and had a face that could generously be described as permanently unimpressed. "Curel," she said, her voice like gravel in a cement mixer. "Your emergency beacon is giving everyone on this station heart palpitations. What is the problem?" Curel gestured frantically at Jack with all 4 arms, which created a sort of panicked semaphore. "This human is a walking biohazard. His internal chemistry should not be possible. He has consumed at least 6 classified poisons in the last week alone." Vosh's eyes, which were a disconcerting shade of yellow, fixed on Jack. "Explain." Jack shrugged. "I had breakfast." Commander Vosh did not look amused. Then again, Jack was pretty sure her species had evolved past amusement sometime around the Bronze Age, and replaced it with suspicious efficiency. "You had breakfast," she repeated, in the tone of someone who had heard many stupid explanations in her career, and was ranking this one for the Hall of Fame. "Yes, ma'am. And this breakfast was poisonous. I mean, not to me." Vosh turned to Curel, who was now pulling up holoscreens with both sets of hands, each display showing what looked like warning labels from a chemical weapons facility. "Show me." Curel's fingers danced across the screens. "Here, caffeine levels consistent with military-grade stimulant abuse. Here, capsaicin markers that match incendiary compounds. Here, residual ethanol suggesting recent consumption of fermented toxins. And this, he pulled up another screen that flashed red with alarming enthusiasm. This is something called processed cheese product, which according to the molecular breakdown should not exist in nature and possibly does not exist in this dimension. That was on the burger I had Thursday, Jack offered helpfully. It was pretty good. Vosh's hand moved to her weapon. What planet are you from that serves chemical weapons as cuisine? Earth. It's this little blue planet in the Sol system. Nice place. Decent beaches. I have heard of Earth, Vosh said slowly. The mercenaries from your world have a reputation for being difficult to kill and insufficiently concerned about their own mortality. Yeah, that sounds about right. Corell was spiraling. Jack could tell because the medic had started making a sort of high-pitched humming noise that sounded like a tea kettle achieving consciousness. I need to run more tests. Comprehensive metabolic panel. Genetic analysis. Possibly an exorcism. I don't think exorcisms are medical procedures, Jack said. I am willing to try anything at this point. 20 minutes later, Jack was sitting in a more advanced medical scanner while Corell and Vosh stood outside the examination room, staring at results that apparently got worse with every passing second. Jack could see them through the transparent aluminum wall, and he was starting to feel bad for Corell, who looked like he was reconsidering his career choices. His cellular structure contains trace amounts of theobromine, Corell said, pointing at a screen. That is a cardiac toxin. I ate chocolate yesterday. Jack called through the wall. It was dark chocolate. Very fancy. Corell's voice went up another octave. You consumed concentrated cardiac toxin for pleasure? It was on sale. Vosh was scrolling through what looked like Jack's food receipts from the last month, her expression growing more concerned with each entry. Corell, look at this. He purchased something called ghost pepper sauce. The label has a warning symbol that matches Galactic Hazard Code 7. That is the code for corrosive materials. It's really not that hot, Jack said. I put it on eggs. You put corrosive material on eggs. Well, when you say it like that, it sounds weird. Corell pulled up another screen, this one showing a molecular diagram. Commander, I am reading nicotine metabolites. Old ones. This human was regularly exposing himself to a known poison until recently. Oh yeah, I quit smoking about a year ago, Jack said. Trying to be healthier. The silence that followed was the kind of silence that suggested everyone in the room was recalibrating their understanding of the word healthy. Vosh turned to face Jack directly. Let me understand this correctly. You regularly consumed poison in vapor form, stopped because it was bad for your health, but continued to consume cardiac toxins, corrosive compounds, neurotoxins, and industrial solvents as part of your normal diet. The industrial solvents thing seems harsh. Are we talking about the coffee? The what? Coffee. It's a drink. Made from beans. Well, they're not really beans, they're seeds, but everyone calls them beans. You roast them, grind them up, run hot water through them, and drink the result. It's got caffeine in it. Helps you wake up. Krill was typing again, pulling up information from what looked like Earth's cultural database. His eyes went wide. Well, wider. They were already pretty wide. Commander, I am reading the human database on this coffee substance. They have an entire industry dedicated to it. They consume it multiple times per day. They have created thousands of variations. Some of them add more stimulants on purpose. Yeah, espresso is great, Jack agreed. Really gets you going in the morning. This species weaponized agriculture, Vosh said, and she sounded genuinely impressed for the first time. They bred plants to produce more toxins, and then consume them recreationally. I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds weird, but yeah, pretty much. Corell pulled up another file, and his humming noise got louder. Oh no. Oh no. Commander, humans have something called the Scoville scale. It is a measurement system specifically designed to rate how much pain their food causes. That cannot be real. It is real. They have competitions. They film themselves consuming increasingly dangerous capsaicin concentrations and post the videos for entertainment. Jack grinned. Hot Ones is a great show. Vosh holstered her weapon, which seemed like a good sign. But then she pulled out her communicator, which seemed like a bad sign. I am calling in a specialist. Corell, maintain the quarantine. Nobody touches the human until we understand what we are dealing with. Quarantine seems excessive, Jack said. You are a walking violation of chemistry, Vosh replied. Quarantine is the minimum response. Jack had been in the quarantine room for an hour when they brought in Dr. Thimwick, who looked like someone had given a very tired turtle a medical degree and a profound sense of disappointment with the universe. He was a Korvashi, which meant he was short, covered in a shell that had seen better centuries, and moved with the speed of continental drift. "So, Dr. Thimwick said, peering at Jack through the transparent wall with eyes that suggested he had seen too much in his long life and was not impressed by any of it. "You are the human causing all this fuss." "I didn't mean to cause a fuss," Jack said. "I just came here to refuel." "Yes. Well, nobody means to cause a fuss, and yet here we are." Dr. Thimwick pulled up the medical scans with one wrinkled hand. "Fascinating. Curel, stop hyperventilating. The human is clearly alive, which means there is an explanation. But the toxins," Curel protested, "are apparently not toxins to him. Death World species are always interesting." Dr. Thimwick tapped the screen thoughtfully. "I specialized in xenobiology for 300 years before retiring. Came out of retirement specifically for this. Young man, tell me about your planet." Jack shrugged. "I mean, it's Earth. We've got oceans, mountains, forests, cities, normal planet stuff. Does your planet try to kill you? I guess. We've got some dangerous animals. Snakes, spiders, sharks, bears. Australia. What is Australia? It's a continent where everything is venomous and angry. Even the plants want you dead." Dr. Thimwick nodded slowly. "And you evolved there?" "Well, humans evolved in Africa. But yeah, we spread to Australia eventually and just kind of dealt with it." "Dealt with it," Dr. Thimwick repeated. "Commander Vosh, I believe I understand the situation. This is not contamination. This is simply what humans are." Vosh crossed her arms, which made her look even more imposing. "Explain. Death World species develop unusual resistances. We know this. But humans appear to have taken it a step further. They did not simply adapt to their environment's poisons. They sought out additional poisons for recreational purposes." He turned back to Jack. "Tell me, do you have any of these substances with you?" Yeah. I've got my personal supplies in my quarters. Coffee, hot sauce, some snacks. Oh, and I've got a bottle of whiskey I was saving for when I finished this job." The humming noise from Curel reached a new pitch. "He has more poison." "It's not poison, it's whiskey." "What?" Dr. Thimwick asked with the patience of someone who knew he was about to hear something ridiculous. "Is whiskey? It's alcohol, distilled from grains. You age it in barrels. It tastes good." "Distilled," Vosh said. "You concentrated the neurotoxin." "I mean, yes, technically, but we've been doing it for thousands of years. It's fine." Dr. Thimwick's eyes lit up with the kind of scientific curiosity that had probably gotten him into trouble before. "I want to see these substances. Commander, I recommend we retrieve the human supplies and examine them in a controlled environment." "Absolutely not," Curel said, all four arms crossed. "We should dispose of them immediately." "Curel, we are scientists. We must observe." Dr. Thimwick turned to Vosh. "Besides, if humans consume these substances regularly, we need to understand them. There may be more humans coming through this station." Vosh considered this. "Fine, but we do it in a secure lab. Full hazmat protocols." 20 minutes later, Jack's personal supplies were laid out on a lab table, like evidence at a crime scene, while a team of medical personnel stood behind reinforced glass, wearing protective gear that looked like they were preparing for a nuclear incident. Jack stood in the lab itself, feeling somewhat insulted that his coffee maker was being treated like a bomb. "This is ridiculous," he said. "It's just coffee." "Just coffee," he says, Curel muttered from behind the glass. As if industrial stimulant powder is a casual thing, Jack picked up his bottle of hot sauce. "This is hot sauce. I put it on basically everything. Watch." He opened the bottle. Several people flinched. He poured a small amount on his hand and licked it off. "See? Delicious." Curel actually fainted, just straight up collapsed. Two of his colleagues caught him with their own multiple arms, while Dr. Thimwick watched with fascination. Vosh's hand was on her weapon again. "Human, put down the corrosive compound. It's hot sauce. You just consumed a substance that reads on scanners as a chemical weapon. It's got a nice smoky flavor." "Doctor." Thimwick held up one hand. "Everyone calm down. The human is clearly fine. Disturbing, but fine." He looked at Jack with something approaching respect. "Young man, would you be willing to demonstrate the consumption of these substances in a more controlled manner? For science?" Jack looked at the bottle of whiskey sitting on the table, then at the coffee maker, then at the crowd of terrified aliens behind the glass. "You know what? Sure. I'm bored, and I really want my coffee anyway. Excellent, Dr. Thimwick said. Let us begin with the least threatening substance. None of them are threatening. We shall see. Jack held up the bag of coffee beans like he was presenting evidence in the galaxy's most ridiculous trial. Okay, so, coffee starts with these. They're roasted seeds from a plant called coffea. Humans have been drinking this stuff for centuries. Dr. Thimwick leaned closer to the glass. And the stimulant content? Varies by bean, but yeah, it's got caffeine. That's kind of the point. Behind the glass, a younger medic with tentacles was frantically taking notes. For the record, the human is voluntarily admitting that the point of this beverage is stimulant consumption. Well, yeah, Jack said, filling the coffee maker with water. How else are you supposed to function before 9 in the morning? Sleep? Curell offered weakly. He had recovered from his fainting spell but looked like he might relapse at any moment. Sleep is for people who don't have cargo routes, Jack said, pouring the beans into the grinder. The machine whirred to life, and several aliens jumped. Relax, it's just grinding the beans into powder. Vosh was watching with the intensity of someone observing a bomb defusal. The powder makes it more potent. It makes it brewable. You can't just eat the beans. Why not? I mean, you can, but it's weird and your teeth get all chalky. Jack poured the grounds into the filter. Okay, so now hot water drips through the grounds and extracts all the good stuff. The caffeine, the flavor compounds, all that jazz. Takes a few minutes. The coffee maker began to burble and hiss. Steam rose from the top. The smell of fresh coffee filled the lab, and Jack watched as every alien in the room recoiled like he had just released a biochemical agent. What is that odor? One of them asked, voice muffled through the hazmat suit. That's coffee. Smells great, right? It smells like burnt bitterness and poor life choices, Vosh said. Yeah, coffee, Jack agreed cheerfully. Dr. Thimwick was studying his scanner. The vapor alone contains measurable stimulant compounds. Fascinating. And you inhale this regularly? I mean, I smell it if that's what you mean. The drinking is the main thing. The coffee maker beeped, and Jack poured himself a cup. The dark liquid steamed invitingly. He took a sip and sighed with satisfaction. Oh, that's good. I've been out for 2 days. You don't realize how much you need coffee until you don't. Have it. Dependency, Curell whispered. He has developed a dependency on the stimulant. It's not dependency, it's just really nice to have. That is what dependency is. Jack shrugged and took another sip. Okay, coffee demonstration complete. What's next? Dr. Thimwick consulted his datapad. The capsaicin compound. The hot sauce. Jack grabbed the bottle and the bag of station rations he had brought from his quarters. Right. So, this is hot sauce. Made from peppers. Peppers are fruits, technically, but savory fruits, not sweet fruits. Humans bred them over thousands of years to be spicier. Why? Vosh asked, genuine confusion in her voice. Because it tastes good. It causes pain. Your own medical literature confirms that capsaicin triggers pain receptors. Yeah, but it's a good pain. It's complicated. Jack squeezed a generous amount of hot sauce onto the bland ration bar. See, humans have this thing where we enjoy certain types of pain in controlled environments. Spicy, food, scary movies, extreme sports, roller coasters. We think it's fun. The silence from behind the glass was deafening. Jack took a bite of the hot sauce-covered ration. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Really wakes up your sinuses. His eyes are watering, one of the medics observed. That's normal, Jack said, wiping his eyes. Means it's working. Working, Curell repeated faintly. The poison is working. It's not poison, it's flavor. Doctor, Thimwick was nodding slowly, the way scientists do when they are watching something that confirms their worst theories about the universe. Commander, I am beginning to understand humanity's reputation. They did not simply survive a death world. They became bored with surviving and decided to make survival more challenging for entertainment purposes. That's a weirdly accurate way to put it, Jack admitted. And this behavior is common among your species? Oh yeah, we've got people who jump out of perfectly good aircraft for fun. People who climb mountains that kill you if you stay at the top too long. People who eat peppers so hot they have to sign waivers. We invented something called parkour, which is just running around cities in the most dangerous way possible. We have restaurants where the gimmick is that the food will hurt you. Vosh was staring at him like he had just explained that humans reproduce by exploding. Your species is insane. I prefer adventurous. You actively seek out danger. I mean, not all the time. Sometimes we just watch TV and eat ice cream. But yeah, we like a challenge. Jack picked up the whiskey bottle. Which brings us to this. Fair warning, this one is going to look bad on your scanners. Worse than the others? Curel asked. Probably. Jack opened the bottle. The smell of aged whiskey filled the lab. This is 40% alcohol by volume. We made it by fermenting grain, distilling it to concentrate the alcohol, and then aging it in charred oak barrels for years. You charred the barrels, Dr. Thimwick said. On purpose. Gives it a smoky flavor and a nice color. Watch. Jack poured 2 fingers into a glass, held it up to the light to admire the amber color, and then took a sip. The warmth spread through his chest. Oh, that's smooth. That's a good whiskey. Every alarm in the lab went off simultaneously. The alarms were loud enough that Jack almost dropped his whiskey, which would have been a tragedy because it was a really good whiskey. Through the reinforced glass, he could see medical personnel running in multiple directions, Curel frantically slapping at control panels with all 4 arms, and Vosh reaching for her communicator like she was about to call in an airstrike. Dr. Thimwick's voice cut through the chaos with surprising authority. Everyone calm down. Turn off those alarms. The human is fine. The scanners are reading lethal toxin levels, someone shouted. Yes, and the human is standing there enjoying it. Observation, people. Use your eyes! The alarms cut off, leaving a ringing silence. Jack took another sip of whiskey just to prove the point. Seriously, this is normal. Humans have been drinking alcohol for like 10,000 years. We invented agriculture partly so we could make more of it. Dr. Thimwick had that look again. The one that suggested he was putting together pieces of a puzzle and didn't like the picture forming. Curel, pull up the Human Cultural Database. Search for recreational activities. I am a medic, not a xenoanthropologist. Do it anyway. Curel's hands flew across the console. A series of holoscreens appeared, each one showing different aspects of human culture. Extreme sports, spicy food challenges, marathon running, competitive eating, base jumping, cave diving. Something called the polar bear plunge. What? Vosh said slowly. Am I looking at? Human entertainment, Dr. Thimwick replied. Curel, filter for activities that involve deliberate risk or discomfort. The list got longer. And longer. Skydiving, rock climbing, ultramarathons, hot yoga, ice swimming, haunted houses, roller derby, competitive pepper eating, Thai boxing, Ironman triathlons. They do all of this voluntarily, Dr. Thimwick continued. For fun, Curel, search for human food culture. More screens appeared. Ghost peppers, Carolina Reapers, extremely sour candies, fermented fish that smelled like death, cheese with live maggots, something called kasu marzu that was apparently illegal in several countries, but people ate it anyway. Curel's humming had stopped. He just stared at the screens in silence. Now search for human drinking culture. The results were extensive. Wines, beers, spirits, cocktails, drinking games, pub crawls. Something called moonshine that was apparently made illegally and could blind you if prepared incorrectly, but people drank it anyway. Doctor. Thimwick turned to face Jack. Your species discovered that ethanol consumption causes liver damage, impairs judgment, and can be fatal in high doses. And your response was to create an entire global industry around it. I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds bad. It is bad. That is the point. Dr. Thimwick gestured at the screens with both hands. You are not simply a death world species. You are a death world species that got bored with baseline survival and decided to invent new and creative ways to suffer for entertainment. Jack considered this. Yeah, that's pretty accurate, actually. You bred plants to be more poisonous. The spicy ones taste better. You invented recreational neurotoxin consumption. Alcohol brings people together. It's social. You run marathons in deserts. That one I don't get either, to be honest. But people seem to enjoy it. Vosh had been silent during this exchange, studying the screens with the expression of someone reassessing everything they thought they knew. Dr. Thimwick, I have worked with human mercenaries. They are effective soldiers, resilient, difficult to intimidate. I always assumed it was military training. No, Commander. It was not military training. It was childhood. Dr. Thimwick pulled up another screen. Look at human children's activities. Playgrounds designed to build tolerance for heights and falling. Sports that involve controlled collision. Spicy foods introduced gradually to build tolerance. They train their young to endure discomfort from an early age. My mom made me eat vegetables, Jack offered. I hated Brussels sprouts as a kid. What are Brussels sprouts? Little green vegetables that taste bitter. They're actually pretty good, roasted with olive oil and garlic, but as a kid I thought they were disgusting. And your mother made you eat them anyway? Yeah, she said they were good for me. She forced you to consume something you found unpleasant because it was healthy. I mean, yeah, that's just parenting. Doctor. Thimwick turned to address everyone behind the glass. Do you understand now? Humans do not simply tolerate discomfort. They seek it out. They train for it. They build entire cultures around it. They are a species that looked at a death world and said, "This is not challenging enough. Let us invent new problems." Carell had found his voice again. That is the most terrifying thing I have ever heard. It explains a lot, though, Vosh said. The mercenaries, the explorers. The fact that humans volunteer for deep space assignments that other species consider suicide missions. She looked at Jack with something that might have been respect. You are all insane. We prefer determined, Jack said, finishing his whiskey. Doctor. Thimwick spent the next 20 minutes updating Jack's medical file while Curell watched with the resigned expression of someone who had given up trying to understand the universe. Jack could see the holographic display from where he sat, watching as new classifications appeared in flashing text. Species designation updated, Dr. Thimwick muttered, typing with, quote, meticulous care, human, Earth origin, death world species, class 4, notable characteristics, self-poisoning behavior, recreational, extreme discomfort tolerance, culturally normalized risk-seeking. Medical personnel advised to disregard standard toxicity readings, as human baseline includes substances lethal to most species. That's going in my permanent record, isn't it? Jack asked. Every medical facility in this sector will receive the updated designation. We cannot have a repeat of today's panic every time a human stops for a checkup. Vosh deactivated the quarantine field. You are clear to leave, human. Try not to poison anyone else on your way out. I wasn't trying to poison anyone in the first place. And yet, Vosh gestured at the lab, where medical equipment was still recalibrating from the multiple alarms. Before you go, I need to ask, are there any other substances we should know about? Anything else you consume that might trigger our hazard systems? Jack thought about it. I mean, I've got some energy drinks in my ship. Those have even more caffeine than coffee, and taurine, and a bunch of B vitamins. Carell made a small whimpering noise. Anything else? Beef jerky. That's dried meat preserved with salt. Oh, and I've got some wasabi peas. Those are spicy. And there's this cheese for my last stop that's probably going to smell really bad when I open it, but that's intentional. Aged cheese is supposed to smell like that. I am updating the file, Dr. Thimwick said, typing faster. All human food items to be considered potentially hazardous until proven otherwise. Jack gathered his supplies, carefully packing away his coffee maker, hot sauce, and whiskey. The medical team watched him like he was handling radioactive materials. When he reached the door, he turned back. Hey, Doc. Thanks for not, actually treating me like a biohazard. Doctor. Thimwick looked up from his datapad. Young man, I have studied xenobiology for 3 centuries. I have seen species that communicate through coordinated electrical shocks, species that breathe methane, and one particularly memorable species that reproduces by explosive mitosis. Humans are strange, but strange is not necessarily bad. Just try to warn people before you eat anything around them. Will do. Jack made it halfway down the corridor before a young Xanthari caught up with him, running on all 6 legs with the enthusiasm of someone who had just discovered something exciting. Excuse me! Human! Wait! Jack stopped. Yeah? Is it true that your species has a beverage even more potent than the one you demonstrated? I heard someone mention something called espresso. Oh yeah, espresso is great. It's concentrated coffee. You make it by forcing hot water through very finely ground beans under pressure. It's got a lot more caffeine per ounce. The Xanthari's eyes went wide. And humans drink this willingly? Multiple times a day, sometimes. There are entire shops dedicated to it. Why do you ask? The Xanthari looked around conspiratorially, then lowered his voice. How much would you charge for a sample? Diluted, of course. I have heard that some of the younger species on the station are interested in trying human beverages. For the thrill. Jack blinked. You want to buy coffee from me? If you are willing to sell it, there is a market for exotic experiences. And that was how Jackson Reeves, cargo hauler and accidental caffeine dealer, He started a side business on Orbital Haven, selling carefully diluted coffee to thrill-seeking aliens who wanted to experience what they called the human rush. He made sure to include warning labels. He watered it down to a quarter strength. He still made a fortune. 3 weeks later, Curell stopped by Jack's newly established coffee stand, now officially licensed by station authorities as a Class 7 exotic substance dispensary. The medic looked tired. "Rough shift?" Jack asked, preparing what he had started. "Calling a starter brew. Coffee so weak it was practically colored water. I had to treat 15 cases of stimulant overdose today," Curell said. "All of them were aliens who purchased your coffee from unlicensed dealers and did not dilute it properly." Yikes. Are they okay? They will survive. Their dignity may not. Curell accepted the cup Jack offered. "I suppose I should try this properly, for medical research purposes." "Of course. For science." Curell took a cautious sip. His eyes widened. All 4 hands gripped the cup. Oh my, that is interesting. Right? I suddenly understand why humans conquered their planet." Jack grinned. "Welcome to the club, Doc." As Curell left, clutching his coffee like it was treasure, Jack updated his supply order. He was going to need more beans, and maybe some tea for variety, and hot chocolate, because apparently theobromine made aliens feel like they could run through walls, and there was definitely a market for that. He sent a message, back to Earth, to his brother who kept asking what Jack was doing all the way out in space. The reply was simple. Started a business selling poison to aliens, making great money. Send more coffee. His brother's response came back 3 hours later. "That's the most human thing I've ever heard. Proud of you." Yeah, Jack thought, watching another customer nervously approach his stand. Being human was pretty great sometimes, even if everyone else in the galaxy thought they were completely insane. Especially because everyone else in the galaxy thought they were completely insane.